This is Diesel We the People News, y'all. This video is without prejudice and or without recourse. Okay? I'm not waiving any of my rights whatsoever. I never look straight forward. I always look around me to be able to protect myself by any means necessary. Alrighty. So, I'm not an attorney. So anything I say or do will not be interpreted as legal advice. Okay? I'm just giving opinion. You got to do what you wish. That's fine and dandy. Okay? But I'm not giving legal advice. Why? Because I'm not an attorney. There we go. We got that figured out, y'all. Alright. So, this is actually going to be a funny video. And, a sheriff and an officer, a city officer, is going to battle it out, y'all. Okay? So, we'll just, see how this goes. Alright?
Go pull the video at Valero. You get on my traffic stop again, I will arrest you.
Yeah, I'll arrest you.
Do it, buddy.
And we're going to
Do it.
charge you.
Do it.
Your ignorant.
Do it, Erd.
Go for
Do it. There's cameras at Valero, and there's cameras at Napa that see you pulled out.
Shut your mouth.
You don't talk to me like that. I'm not your boy.
Do it. You a boy.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, how rowdy is that? The sheriff of a North Georgia county and a city police officer threatened to arrest each other in the middle of a traffic stop. The Hiawassee officer's body cam caught the heated exchange. 11 Alive Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe with a video through open records and from one of his sources in Towns County. Brendan?
And that's right, Jeff. It's an extraordinary recording. Two cops, one the elected sheriff himself, the other the Hiawassee police officer, exchanging profanities of the officer after the driver essentially wasn't in ear range. But those threats of arrest in front of the driver who had just been cited for speeding. The clash occurred last week amid a jurisdiction dispute where the town's...
I'm going to apologize just for the algorithms. You never know, okay? Oh my goodness, y'all. So much going on here. It's sad, but you gotta love it at the same time. Just depends how you look at the situation.
County sheriff accused Hiawassee officers of making stops and pursuing suspects outside the city limits.
Okay, let's go with that right quick, y'all. Usually they have an agreement with the city. However, realize this, alright? Any town or city is in a county. So when the sheriff is the higher law of the land in the county, that city or town is in the county. That sheriff is still above that officer. Now, there could be a service agreement between the two. Look, you conduct your business here in the city. Unless you need my help, I'll stay out in a rural area. Okay? So if you need me in, that's fine and dandy. However, it flips the other way around that we people don't even know about. Or even the sheriffs. Okay? If a cop is harassing me, okay, for whatever reason, I don't care what the reason is. Alright? I call that sheriff. Now that sheriff has authority to come investigate that officer. Now, they don't do it. Why? Because they have some type of service agreement against we the people. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing when you vote them in, there's an agreement somewhere. Okay? FBI has got to ask permission to enter the county to raid your house. They've got to have backup for your sheriff. Or there's a service agreement with the FBI, like they get a nice tank for a Christmas present, which, be honest with you, if that is the case, which is highly likely, that is conflict of interest against the people that voted for you to get in office. I'm talking about the sheriffs right here, right now. All right? That's conflict of interest from the voters voting you in to protect their constitutional rights. right? The service agreement also to the town is conflict of interest against the people that vote you in to protect them. All right? The sheriff has the right and the duty to arrest judges, and it has happened in East Texas. That people went and say, hey, if you want to keep your freaking job, you get that crooked judge out of there and arrest him. We've had enough of him. And that sheriff went to go and arrest that judge. So it can be done, and by the way, this is in Texas, and this was in East Texas 15, 20 years ago. Okay? Still stands today. Sheriffs have the authority to deputize you. They take responsibility of the actions of deputizing you. There's a reason why they don't do it, but they still have the authority to do so. Okay? Back in the old days, they were called shires. Okay? And they was for kings and all that kind of stuff. But when the king overstepped his authority to the people, and it was his job to protect the people that the king elected, the shires back then stepped away from the king and said, nope, you're in the wrong, buddy. We're no longer backing you up. We are for the people. And that's what's happened growing ever since then for a particular time, and that's the reason why in the United States we have sheriffs, is because you have authority, right? They can escort the president through the county if you don't want the president to stop in your county. Most people don't realize how much power sheriffs actually has. Why? Because we've been dumbed down. So I challenge everybody out here that listens to this video, go to KrisAnne Hall, study the constitutional sheriff class, especially sheriffs out there. Okay? I have not seen it, so I don't know what's actually in there. I just trust her more than I do attorneys, even though she calls her attorney. And any government officials. Okay? KrisAnne Hall was released from being a prosecutor because they told her not to tell anybody about the constitutional rights they have. I mean, dumbfounding it is, right? They fired her because she was teaching Constitution to people. That has to tell you about all this crap that's going behind closed doors. Alright, sorry.
Inside the city or out here? Just right here. Okay. Go pull the video at Valero. You get on my traffic stop again, I will arrest you. Yeah, I'll arrest you. Do it, buddy. And we're going to do it. Charges. Do it. Do it, Ode. Go for it. Do it. There's cameras at Valero, and there's cameras at Napa that see me. Shut your mouth. You don't talk to me like that. I'm not your boy. Do it. You a boy. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Everybody, thank you. Thank you. Count 302 and 10.
Now, that's a city police officer and the elected sheriff himself. The Hiawassee police chief called it an unfortunate event. The Towns County sheriff wouldn't take my call today, directing our questions to the county attorney instead, who told 11 Alive Investigates that the...
We're going to go with that right there. Directing it to the attorney. Attorneys have their little hands in every little bitty thing. Why don't that sheriff actually learn the Constitution? And he's actually kind of doing pretty good right here, so I'm not going to tear him down too much, okay? But the attorney's going to give bad advice, okay? Because they actually do not study the Constitution, the intent of the real Constitution.
Sheriff's behavior on camera was, quote, the result of a broader issue that will be investigated.
Okay, see, they're shifting blames really basically on the sheriff at this point in time. Well, if this vehicle is allegedly in the county, then that sheriff has every authority to say, hey, you need to quit going over there. And the cop was the one that told him, if you interfere in my traffic stop one more time, Well, you're not even in your right jurisdiction anyway. That's not what the term of agreement is.
By the proper authorities. We've learned that the GBI has been notified and the district attorney in Towns County is involved. There's no word on any consequences for the police officer, but the sheriff can't be disciplined or fired except by the voters because he's an elected official who answers only to the voters. We also obtained a...
Listen to that, y'all. Sit and think about that for a minute. He cannot be fired or charged because he works for the people. Alright? He works for the people.
recording on which the sheriff can be heard calling Hiawassee officers the enemies of the sheriff's office. 11 Lives investigates. Well, we're just getting started, and we'll have more on this case next week.
Anyway, I thought that was an interesting video, and there was a little bit of learning curve on that video. Okay, so either way it goes, if the sheriff is called out there, whether you are in city or not, and you know, the sheriff actually literally does have jurisdiction over the chief.